Every researcher reads research papers, but one of the biggest challenges is not finding papers. It is extracting the information that is actually useful without spending hours reading the papers that may not be even relevant. Whether you are writing a research paper, thesis, dissertation, or a literature review, you often have to understand complex methods, identify key findings, discover research gaps, compare multiple studies, and organize all your notes. And that can quickly become overwhelming, which stops you from starting your work. Hello, I'm Dr. Abhishek and welcome back to Explore Bio, where I regularly share practical videos on research, publishing, and AI tools. In this video, I will show you the workflow I use to understand research paper faster, identify research gaps, search literature more efficiently, and organize information for my research. I will also show you how this AI-powered tool fits naturally into this workflow. Consider this research paper that I have downloaded. Before spending a lot of time reading it from beginning to end, I first want to know whether this paper is actually relevant to my work. So instead of scanning manually every section, I simply use UPDF's AI to summarize the paper. Within a few seconds, it provides an overview covering the objectives, methodology, major findings, and conclusions from the study. This gives me a quick understanding of what the paper is about and help me decide whether it deserves a deeper reading. I can also ask specific questions such as what problem does this paper address? What are the major findings? What conclusions did the author draw? When you are screening dozens or even hundreds of papers during a literature review, this saves a considerable amount of time. My goal here is not to replace the reading entirely, but to spend more time on the papers that actually matters. But understanding what a paper says is only one part of the story. The next question is how reliable are its findings? For this, I often look for the limitations in the study. Instead of searching through the discussion section manually, I can ask AI to identify limitations in this paper. It analyzes and points out possible limitations related to sampling, methodology, technical approaches, experimental design, or interpretation of results. For instance, in this paper, the lack of reference genome, analysis of pooled samples, short read sequencing were a few limitations that were found. This helps me better evaluate the strengths and weakness of the study. Even more useful is asking about opportunities for future research. Based on this paper, it suggested that sequencing reference genome, using individual sample for sequencing, experimental validation of genes by transgenic or CRISPR could be done as a future research. If you are searching for a research topic or trying to formulate a research question, this can provide useful starting points that you can investigate further. Now, before moving to reading and analyzing multiple papers, there's another challenge every researcher faces, which is understanding complicated concepts. Research papers often contain unfamiliar techniques, complex terminologies, equations, or statistical analysis. For example, here I don't know what CLC Genomics Workbench is. Instead of opening multiple browser tabs looking for explanations, I can simply select the text and ask the AI to explain it in simple language. And it has explained that it is a bioinformatics platform for read assembly, expression analysis, and so on. This is particularly useful when reading papers from a completely new field or when learning unfamiliar experimental methods. Along with this, you can also generate a visual mind map for an entire paper, giving you a quick one line overview of each major section, which makes understanding the overall structure of the paper much easier. Now, what if the paper you are interested in is written in other language, for example Chinese, that you do not understand? So instead of relying on external translational tools, UPDF's AI can translate the entire paper PDF into the language of your choice, making it easier to understand and review it. But in research, we rarely deal with just one paper. Most projects require dealing with dozens and even hundreds of papers. This is where the chat project feature becomes especially useful. Instead of analyzing papers one by one, I can add multiple papers into a project and ask questions across all of them at once. This makes it easier to compare methodologies, identify common findings, and understand disagreements in the studies. For example, here I have added several papers related to bamboo growth. Now, I have asked the AI to identify the current knowledge gaps and opportunities for future research. Instead of analyzing each paper separately, it compares all of them based on various themes and prepares a structured report highlighting recurring limitations and potential future directions. Some of the suggestions are genuinely useful. Beyond this, You can also use it to generate a preliminary research proposal or project plan covering objectives, methodologies, timelines, significance, and other sections. I see this as a good starting point for the draft that can then be refined based on your own research. Another feature that I particularly find useful is literature search. Normally, when we search the literature, we open Google Scholar, search for keywords, open multiple papers one by one, download PDFs, organize them manually, and then only begin reading. UPDF simplifies much of this process. You can search using keywords, research topics, paper titles, or identifiers, and it retrieves relevant publications directly within the application. You can further filter the results to focus on the recent publications or highly cited papers depending on your objective. Once you identify useful papers, you can immediately add them to your library or chat with them. This creates a much smoother workflow because searching, collecting, reading, and extracting useful information all happens within the same workspace instead of switching between multiple applications. It also provides a relationship graph that visually show how papers are connected through citations. It makes it easier to identify influential studies and understand how the research field has evolved. Writing a literature review is often one of the most time consuming stages of research. Using deep research or scholar search, you automate the entire process to search, analyze, and generate a structured literature review based on the selected papers. Now it's asking me to clarify the query because the prompt I initially wrote was too general. So I have specified the species, the type of study, and the future trends I am interested in. Based on this information, it has optimized the search and analysis. It has identified over 100 research papers and based on the key studies generated a structured literature review covering all the important sections. As you can see, it has written the abstract, introduction, background, and other sections. The most impressive part is that every statement throughout the synthesized report is backed by citations with complete references provided at the end. So, with just a single prompt, it has identified the relevant papers, analyzed them, and generated a well structured synthesized literature review. Now, apart from AI, there are several everyday PDF features that researchers frequently need. For example, I can highlight important sections, strike out unnecessary text while reading, add comments, or create notes. If I need to edit an existing PDF such as a CV or a report or any document, I can directly edit the text without converting the file into Word or other format. I can also add, remove, rotate, extract, merge, or split PDF pages, which is especially useful while preparing grant applications, reports, or supporting documents. Another feature I frequently find useful is OCR. If a PDF is scanned and not searchable, OCR converts it into searchable and editable text. Finally, I can convert PDFs into Word, PowerPoint, Excel, images, and several other formats whenever I need to reuse the content in presentations or reports. Having all these document related tools available in one place makes the overall workflow much more convenient. You can download UPDF for free and explore its features. If you find it useful, you can upgrade to the plan that best suits your needs. UPDF is available for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and the web. Also, it is considerably more affordable and feature enriched than Adobe and other competitors, making it a practical option for researchers, students, and scientists. If you would like to try the tool, I have provided the link in the description. I would also love to know from you which feature do you find most useful for your research workflow. And if you enjoy practical videos on research, publishing, and AI tools, don't forget to subscribe Explore Bio. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.